Hey everybody, here we are, giving you a new review for the summer, tail end of the summer, and appropriately enough, we are, as you know, those of you fellow Los Angelinos, um, we're going through a heat wave, so that's
That's
why we've poured a couple of cold ones today because it's literally hot in every respect outside. So, what better time to go watch the latest New York set Spike Lee movie.
or joint,
Spike Lee joint, as he has always called them in the credits.
which would be highest to lowest. I've been keeping my eye on this one for a while. It is a new, or let's say a reinterpretation of Akira Kurosawa's very famous High and Low.
Please go see it on
It's
the
on
Criterion
Criterion.
channel. Or if you're a physical media hound, as we are, Criterion put out a really nice remaster on Blu-ray. Before we jump into the Spike Lee film, I'll just quickly recap that High and Low, without spoilers, is a kidnapping movie that, in a way, set the template for the way kidnapping thrillers would be structured after Kurosawa's classic released in 1963. So you've seen movies like Ransom, for example, by Ron Howard. They kind of follow that structure of um, letting you get to know the family of whoever's been kidnapped, and then the authorities involved in trying to solve the kidnapping, and then the kidnapper, right? Creating this kind of storytelling triangle that builds suspense. High and Low really set the template for that back in the 60s.
But also it brilliantly through the subtext, right? It explores basically class warfare
Yeah,
and how poverty itself is weaponized
yeah.
against so many people, in this case, Japan, and how it can literally make people go crazy.
Oh yeah, and it's great because it has a universal power to it. You watch High and Low, and like a lot of Kurosawa's best work, it's very much of its time and place, while at the same time exploring themes you can see happening anywhere where inequality will drive people over the edge, let's say, into extreme actions. In the case of High and Low, it deals with the head of a shoe company who, at first, it's believed his son is kidnapped, but then it turns out it's his driver's son that's kidnapped, and so then he faces this moral dilemma of how to deal with that. And
There are just so many
yeah,
brilliant touches in
oh,
there.
amazing,
You have
amazing.
to see it. What's so great about it, and when art is that brilliant, is you can enjoy it as, I don't want to say simple because that's not fair, but a straightforward kidnapping ransom thriller, but all that bubbling subtext underneath, whether we're dealing with the driver or the way that basically the media protects the ruling class.
Well, you can watch it for the suspense, and you can watch it for the meaning, right? It's that kind of good film that you can enjoy on various levels.
Which is
Yeah.
why I was so excited that Spike Lee, who makes his fair share of scathing, pointed American dramas, would take a crack at it. Except, unfortunately, this one was, let's say, on the end of highest to lowest. It was on the more disappointing low end.
In a weird way, I'll come out and say that, for example, it's one of those movies that's clearly made by a seasoned director who has a lot of experience and knows where to put the camera, knows how to cast uh, the key lead roles, knows how to evoke the city that he loves so much,
Well, he's a good
New York.
filmmaker,
He's
right?
he's a very good
He
filmmaker.
knows the principles, right? Unlike movies like Anora, which feels like, a high school, edgy high school wannabe made it, or the studio produced factory sludge
Exactly.
superhero stuff,
Well,
excluding like James Gunn.
so for example, and we'll get into the rough edges of this movie, and why we don't think it measures up to Spike's best, but at the same time, it's not necessarily boring, right? It still has a
No,
rhythm, a pacing.
it's about two
Yeah,
hours 15.
it doesn't drag. It doesn't feel like 2 hours and 15 when you're
Exactly.
watching it.
Exactly. It's very it's kind of I'm very conflicted about this. I certainly didn't love it. It was both disappointing as a Spike Lee movie and as a reinterpretation of High and Low, right? It's serving two fronts because you'll have basically two demographics of people going to watch this, like in our theater, right? There are people who support Spike Lee, as we all should, right?
It's
And
playing limited.
also, just shockingly, how little exposure this movie is getting, right?
It's an Apple production. Well, it's a
Uh,
joint production, Apple TV and A24.
24.
So it's playing right now limited in certain venues. In our case, we saw it at the Lemley here in Santa Monica. On September 5th, it streams on Apple TV. So you'll be able to watch it at home on whatever device you use.
A
September
home
5th.
double bill.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll be able to see for yourself what we're talking about very soon if you don't mind if you have Apple TV, or if you don't mind doing a free trial of it.
But I was first curious where Spike would reimagine the story, but also how much bite there would be to it.
Yeah.
And off the bat, there are quite a few changes, which are very intriguing, right? Kurosawa, it's a shoe salesman. And this one, it's the executive at
Stacking Hits
Stacking
Records.
Hits Records. But more shockingly to me, and I guess the most disappointing part to me, is that this didn't have any bite.
Yeah.
It it's a movie, and I'm gonna call it the Top Gun Maverick syndrome, where the story has to take a back seat to the lead. In
Yes.
this case, it's Denzel
Who's
Washington,
been clear obviously working with Spike for more than 30 years now.
and it just shows. And I'm fine with changes, right? This will never replace the original, and even if it was as good as the original, okay, great. Then we have another adaptation. I was just more shocked that, right, the kind of pointed Spike that you get in 25th Hour, that you get in uh Malcolm X, that
Oh,
you
my
get
favorite
in
Spike
Black
movie.
Klansman, even Bamboozled, which is like, you want to talk about pointed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even
And
Jungle Fever, those the classics,
the
right? Do the
classics,
Right Thing, the Summer of Sam, which is more of a cult film
but
for him, but yeah,
but this one, it wasn't there,
yeah,
right? It has moments where you feel like he'll go to some very topical places. For example, how AI is infesting the music industry, or how we still have, right, legacy media, right, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, but how social media has become kind of this platform for stalking, for the court of public opinion, and he always hints at that,
well,
but then drops it.
there's even you're right. It's he kind of flirts with various angles of what to make the story about or what to focus on, but doesn't see them all the way through. For example, my favorite angle that he kind of flirts with in the movie is this idea that for artists, right, it's becoming even more difficult to get a leg into whatever industry you want to get into, unless you're a nepo baby, or you have connections, or your parents already own a record label. It's so hard to get your foot in that it's easy to imagine someone who knows they have some potential to take extreme measures to try to get attention, right, to try to get known. The movie kind of flirts with that idea before just kind of letting it dissolve and not really seeing it all the way through, at least to the kind of provocative level you would hope
Well,
that Spike would explore.
exactly, right? So the premise of high and low, and this isn't spoiling. This is literally just the fundamental premise: is that we think that this executive son is kidnapped. Instead, it's his drivers. The reasons why we won't necessarily spoil that, right? That's part of the movie, both the original and this one. But yeah, with Spike, he could have really gone into how that sense of frustration for artists who are talented just won't get in the room. And
Exactly.
in this case, right, uh, uh, Denzel's son or fictional son has a girlfriend who's an artist who, let's say, may or may not get his ear. Explore that, delve into that,
Right, and
and the
how, yeah,
fact that the son in Kurosawa's movie is a kid, and in this one,
teenagers basically.
he's teenagers. Explore that dynamic
Yeah.
more, and he always drops it, and it's so I'm frustrated.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
frustrated. I don't hate this. It definitely has moments which are laughable in terms of certain dialogue choices or the way the
Yeah.
music plays at spots which aren't appropriate. I'm just so frustrated
The
because it's
score did have weird intrusiveness in some
very
scenes.
weird
Yeah. Yeah.
intrusiveness, and the score's good, but it had very intrusive moments. There's a scene when Denzel and his son talk after a pivotal moment, and there's score playing all the time, and it's just like, this doesn't need it.
Oh yeah, it was too. It felt too much. Like when a director, it's almost like the director is insecure about the audience knowing what it's supposed to feel in that moment, that he pushes the score a little too much
Yeah,
to force you into whatever mindset he's
but
trying to
but
create
not
with the
even
moment.
just the fact the score is there, but the kind of music cue that they use just didn't work.
Oh,
I'm just so frustrated because I saw the elements in there. They are in the movie. They're just
yeah,
never fleshed out. They're
yeah.
never fleshed out. Instead, the movie needs to stop for Denzel.
There's
And
also
and there are good moments. Of
oh no,
course there are
very
good
good
moments. Like
moments.
there's one when he's in his office deciding what to do and he's kind of losing his mind a bit. But then it just stops.
Well, I did like the moments. Again, ideas that should have been further explored, but I like the moments where they explore how it's very very easy to proclaim loyalty to a friend, or even family when everything is fine. But then when the situation
When the
turns,
coffers are impacted.
then yeah, there's a great scene, and again, this spoils nothing, but there's a great moment where Denzel, after they realize it's actually his driver's son, played by the driver, played by Jeffrey Wright, in a very good performance, as Jeffrey always tends to do. Uh,
Arguable. I'd debate that with
you
you.
know,
I think
Jeffrey,
it
I
was
thought Jeffrey Wright
he
was
was
good in this
okay.
movie. I
He's
mean,
fine.
it's not one of his best, but
He's
the
fine.
guy delivers.
Oh,
I think
you know what? That's another good point. The driver.
yes. Well,
In Kurosawa's movie, and we're going to get back to your
yeah,
point in a second, but I really, really want to stress this. The driver is that class, is one of the class catalysts in the movie, right? The pointed subtext in the film is often channeled through um, Genjoto's driver.
yeah.
And in this one, he doesn't do that, which isn't necessarily bad. I'm not asking for a shot for shot remake, but the driver is kind of a core, or his character, what he represents, is so fundamental to the core of this type of story. And it's not there as much. Again, there's so much that is peppered in
Oh
there.
yeah. Well, there's
Even the fact that he went to prison and converted to Islam in Kurosawa's movie, when the driver is prostrating at his feet begging for money, one thing Spike does is he does a moment like that, but gives the driver a form of empowerment, which I found interesting, but then never brought up again.
yeah. Yes, exactly. It's again more half explored angles. The scene I was talking about is a very good one where the driver goes to ask King, to give the money that the kidnappers are asking for his son.
And that's Denzel's character's name. his name is
David King.
David King.
And so all of a sudden, King just kind of truly opens up and starts kind of whining in a bit about how everyone just wants things from him and everybody just wants to see what he can give them. And it's interesting. It's a good scene where it explores the, I guess you can call it in a on a human level, the selfishness of the man, right? That all of a sudden the really loyal friend puts a boundary, right? He says, "Well, hey, man, you're asking me for $17.5 million here. I why does everybody want something from me?" Again, stuff that could have been better explored because that's very interesting. That idea of especially with these billionaire types, this idea that it's so easy to be everybody's friends until basically how far are you willing to go to
Yes.
save a life?
Well, they create the air of we're all family here. And
Yeah.
guess what? I know that from firsthand experience because I worked for a family who talked about, oh, we're so much alike, this and that. But I saw that when someone wasn't 100% on board, gone.
Yeah, no, and again, things Spike could have explored better, which again, I'm shocked he didn't because at least the Spike Lee we've all known for a long time, and the Spike Lee that became such a force in American
A
film,
renegade, really.
would not have flinched at critiquing power more deeply.
You know what? That's such a good point. Because sadly, he did this thing that we see a lot of liberals do where, oh, the good billionaires will save us. And that's one thing that
Yeah,
Kurosawa subtextually critiques.
yeah,
Also, the
yeah,
structure is very different, but in this one, it ends with, oh, he's just the good billionaire, and it's like,
yeah. And
what?
whereas Kurosawa, and of course, I don't know if it's just the world we live in, because remember Kurosawa made High and Low,
Early 60s,
early
right?
60s. So we're talking, World War II had barely ended 20 years prior. So it was something for, the issues in the air were very different. So the way High and Low ends, it ends with in this haunting, and I'm not going to spoil the ending, of course, but
Haunting.
this very haunting idea of how the brutality of inequality makes people lose their minds. It makes society tear at the seams. This one, yeah, this one kind of ends almost like with a reassuring hug that everyone can win in a way,
Oh,
and everyone will get their chance at the brass ring. Basically,
yes.
it's that kind of
You know
you
what?
know idea.
You know what? I have to piggyback on that. One thing that it kind of struck me, and we talked about a little bit on the car ride, highest to lowest ends with everybody wins.
Yes,
And
yes,
in Kurosawa's movie, not even remotely, people sacrifices are made, consequences are faced. And at highest to lowest, literally, I'm not even joking, every character wins, even the kidnapper played by ASAP Rocky, who has moments which work and then has moments that are so bad I wouldn't be shocked if he's nominated for a Razzie. But everyone wins.
I
And
mean,
it's like,
yeah,
then what's the point of this whole story? There's no morality.
which is of course again, it's kind of surprising. I mean, Spike has done, more kind of genre thrillers before that end with a smile, like Inside Man and that sort of thing. But this one kind of, I think, required an ending closer to 25th Hour,
I was
where
just thinking that.
it pulls the rug from under you in a good way, and it ends on a note that leaves you thinking and
I
leaves
still
you
think about it.
yeah, great movie, and it leaves you pondering the consequences of everything you just saw in the previous 2 hours. um this one, I think, yeah, I think you're right. It tries so hard to just leave everyone feeling
Feel good.
cheery.
The liberal thing. And I hate
Yes.
to say that. I hate to say that. But this very, for people who live in Los Angeles or in Santa Monica, the north of Montana type, oh, violence begets violence type thing, where it's
Yeah,
like, but the violence originates somewhere, right? Like it's not an equal footing.
yeah. Right.
Like even what Spike could have done, and again, it's so important. I stress this. I'm not asking for a shot remake. I think it's so interesting and fascinating the changes he made. I think there's a foundation for something
They're not bad
so much
ideas.
better. It's
Yeah.
so much wasted potential. But for example, what if Spike went the direction that ASAP Rocky's character actually wins?
Yes.
That this idea of the court of public opinion goes in his way instead. Because in Kurosawa's, again, I'm really trying to not spoil it because it's have to watch it.
No.
But the movie shifts focus in the first half and second half. It literally, in fact, the filmmaking style changes between the first half and second half to tell this wider story. And it works so brilliantly, right? Because you feel the effect, this subtextual effect that's the underlying foundation for this whole story. And highest to lowest, again, it's all this top down, like, let's make it about one person, everyone wins, kumbaya.
I wonder if it's also so many questions. I mean, as Spike also, I think with this particular genre filmmaking, um, you can be a great director and still slip in funny ways when trying a new genre. So, and
And not only just genre. Remember, this is his second remake of an East Asian
oh yes,
film.
yes, we all would like to forget his Old Boy remake, which universally acknowledged is terrible. This one's not as bad as that,
Definitely not.
but
But
yeah,
to his credit, let's say the failure of Old Boy, which I think also starred Denzel.
no, that was Josh Brolin.
Oh, that was.
Yeah, that was Josh Brolin
Oh,
was in that one.
geez, that's right.
Uh,
But even that one, I feel like he needed that failure in order to make Black Klansman.
yes, and
Because when
yeah,
Black Klansman came out, we saw it in theaters in 2017, and we were like, "Wow!"
well,
We
such
were
a
like, "Holy hell!" Like
like
this
he's
is Spike.
back,
He's
like he's
back.
back. Now, but the with this one, the point I was going to go to was even in the action, you notice Spike. Funny enough, just going for some easy routes to tie the knot, let's say, that just kind of leave you scratching your head a bit. The way, let's just say, the way a duffel bag is handled, uh, questions about the kidnappers' collaborators, where we see them get arrested, but then learn nothing about them, or apparently they're not even useful for getting information on who the kidnapper was. Um, Very strange holes are left in the plot where you're kind of left scratching your head. Where, ironically, let's say with genre directors, right, directors who specialize in this kind of movie, um, they would know how to then like build on that and use those
Yeah,
characters and all that stuff. And with Spike, you're just like, wait, Spike, but who's that guy in the bike, man? Like who was that guy in the
and he
motorcycle?
even stops the movie, and it's clear how much love Spike has for New York,
Yeah.
and he has these great shots of a Puerto Rican parade or of Yankees fans on the metro, and it's funny because he kind of pulled another term that I throw around with him all the Anton Fuqua effect from
Yes.
Equalizer 3,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it's like, oh, like he would be a really good like slice of life documentary filmmaker,
Travel
also starring
documentarian.
Denzel.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
and and
Equalizer.
and
Yeah.
and it happens in this one, and I know they're just some really strange choices made in this movie. Well, partly I know why, because it's Denzel and he wants to give him the spotlight. But yeah, I just have so many questions. I'm just frustrated because there's so many great ideas that are just peppered in there, and it could have been so much better. It could have
Yeah.
been so much better. It's hardly the worst thing that I've seen. I'm so glad we saw it in a theater, but ah,
Yeah. It's you never know what you're gonna get sometimes with great directors, which is part of the fun of checking out their new work. But yeah, it could be great. Could be, in this case, I'd rank it. I'd say not awful, not great. Um, just material with promise that doesn't see it through. Um, Coming from an interesting place, right? Him wanting to remake this Kurosawa film, Which, well, looking it up, apparently other directors had pondered remaking High and Low for a long time, including Martin Scorsese, which I'm not too surprised about.
Mm.
But
And it's fascinating
yeah,
too the time that he's making it because, right? I mean, anywhere I would say in the world, but in the United States, right? The housing crisis is so bad, right? There's stretches of New York which are getting complete overhauls.
and those the shift in the arts, right? How industries are being totally overturned by everything that's going on now, where everyone from songwriters to screenwriters just don't know what's going on or what the future is going to bring, and everyone's unsure about what's happening. And we're unsure of where Spike is going to go after this one. So it'll be very interesting to see how Spike follows up highest to lowest. But hey, you still have us here for the rest of summer. We've got some great content coming up your way. We've got some special episodes that we are putting together. Halloween season is also just around the corner, so be on the lookout for special content
That's right.
revolving around
We
that.
get back in the booth, we've had discussions about some really interesting things. I know there's some stuff that Alcie's wanted to talk about for a while that we've found a way to package into other topics we've also been discussing.
Fun, relevant stuff, guys.
But
And
Halloween, we don't miss that.
oh, we never
We're
miss Halloween.
serious.
We're serious. We never miss Halloween, and you're gonna have our episode with a big bowl of candy. And we also have more reviews coming your way, things that you should check out. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back in the booth soon. As you know, we've been super busy this whole spring
This whole
and
year,
this whole
really.
year. Really, this year has been nonstop. 2025. If the world feels like it's been going crazy, trust me, we've been living and breathing it. But yeah, highest to lowest. Let us know what you think. Remember to subscribe and like us. Spread the word. If you catch highest to lowest in theaters or when it streams September 5th on Apple TV, leave your comments down below and let us know what you think. Whether you agree with us, whether you think we totally lost our minds when it comes to this movie. Let us know. No, we do not censor any
We don't.
comments.
We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even for the crazies out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we'll still find a way to respond to you,
Yeah.
but we like it.
Yeah, we like it. We
But
love the battle. Yeah.
but as we end all things, we just got to leave one simple message: keep thinking critically and enjoying movies.
Free Palestine.